I wake up with an annoying crick in my back, my face resting on the foot of a medical cot soaked with my own drool. It takes a moment to blink the incomprehensible mess of dreams I was having out of my eyes before I can remember how I got here and what I was doing yesterday. Oh, fuck, that's right. I was fighting that big battle against Vita Templars with against Lark and my her team, and I jerk upright, but not in time to stop the bile from rising up my throat and ending up all over the foot of Bentley's cot, the memories in my head warring for dominance as my parasite of a soul clashes with my stolen brain. That monster, Vita, hides inside me, having burrowed into my soul to use the husk as camouflage. Except I am Vita, hooked up to a body and a mind that isn't my own and struggling to deal with the second person that's now leaking inside me. This isn't fun for either of us, I try to think to myself, except I'm not sure which me is doing the thinking and there's no answer because there's only one of us in here. I've already gone insane. Melik. Someone shouts with surprise, and I instinctively recognize it as my name, but it's not my name, but it is. I'm not her, I have always been her, this is my body now. Sorry, I choke out. Nightmare. It's not normal to vomit after a nightmare. The woman continues, and it's Lark, she killed saved me. Are you feeling nauseous? Yes, I admit. Very. I'll get new blankets for Bentley, Jaleesa says, sounding exhausted. What? How does she sound exhausted? I just know she's exhausted, I can feel that. Let's get you into bed as well, okay Melik? Okay, I allow easily since she's my captain. Since she's my enemy and I need to hide. Since she's right and I need rest. Oh Watcher, what am I? Did I just think oh Watcher? Fuck, I'm a tool. Didn't you not like the Templars anyway, Melik? Why do you pray? There's no answer, but I know I pray because sometimes I need all the help I can get. How foolish. The Watcher will never help me. I need to get this under control. I need to get her out of my soul. I need to accept that my soul is gone. I need to get his brain to stop influencing me. Help. Someone help. Can Penelope fix this? Wait, Lady Vesuvius is an animancer? Penelope is my girlfriend? I let myself be guided to a bed, too busy falling apart to do anything but obey. My body is shivering, sweating, and I feel it like I used to feel it, like I've always felt it, without threads of soul dominating my perceptions and making everything numb by comparison. I don't have to claw at the insides, feel the blood pulse inside me, or think about every wet breath. My real soul, the parasite controlling me, is once again squeezed into an eggshell far too small for it, but thankfully I have a new trick to keep it hidden. Vita has some sort of extra-dimensional tunnel connecting her soul to a pool of mana, and I can wedge myself partially inside that, alleviating the pressure of being inside Melik's now hollow, too small shell. Hey, I never wanted to be a shell. I never wanted to be a parasite. I never wanted your memories. At least I can agree with myself on that. I realize, dimly, that I'm being led away from the rest of my squad. I mean his squad. No, I mean... fucking whatever. Uck. Everything feels wrong. This body is even worse than my last one, all stocky and lumpy and still goddamn short. Except that I also feel somewhat defensive about that, because it's my body, and I've had it for 17 years now, and I've been working hard to get it in the best shape it can be, thank me very much. Who cares how short I am when I can almost fight toe-to-toe with the Vrithitsa by myself? Ha. Except I'm weak. I'm slow. I'm pathetically human. Which is better than being a monster, weakness and all. Jaleesa guides me out of the medical ward and into another room, my room, this is my dorm room, and helps me onto my bed, fetching a bowl for me to vomit in as she regards me with a blank expression that's difficult to interpret. Except all expressions are difficult to interpret and it's pointless to try because I can sense she's suspicious. She's seen something. She's onto me. How the shit is she onto me? Oh fuck, can she save me? Can she free me? Will she kill me? Will she tell others about me? Do you think you're sick, Melik? She asks me simply. Or just stress and exertion? I think I just need rest, I answer her. The biomancers said my head was fine. I wonder if I wouldn't be having this problem if he'd gotten concussed badly enough. Maybe I should have smashed him into the ground a little harder. Except... fuck, I remember that. I was so terrified. She was split in half from head to breast, half of her body drooping down as bits of her brain leaked out of the wound. Yet still, she saw us, knew us, hated us. I hated him and he knew it. And then I just moved, and I felt her hand on my helmet, her fingers crushing the chitin like paper, my face flying towards the ground. I shudder, making a grab for the vomit bowl, as I empty more bile brought up by the mixed memory. Holy shit, I'm fucking horrifying, aren't I? I'm going to get you some water, my captor tells me, and I nod in confirmation as I try to spit the taste of vomit out of my mouth. It's weird that I can taste this. Now I really want one of those scones from the stall on 5th Street, they're my favorite. Wait, I have a favorite food? Uck, what kind of picky, rich-ass moron did I possess? Food is food. I can't deny I really want a scone, though. It's easy to see why they're my favorite, even if I disagree with having a favorite. Fuck, I mean it's easy to see why they're Melik's favorite. Why is this even happening? Melik's soul is dead. It's gone. I ate most of it, just leaving the outside so I could hide within. It wasn't a conscious plan, either, I pretty much did it entirely on instinct. So I suppose I have another soul shell, just like I used to before I hatched during the perception event. Holy fuck, I'm weird. No. Stop freaking out about Vita hollowing out my soul and focus. Melik is still influencing me, and his soul isn't functional anymore, which means the problem must be his brain. I'm attached to his brain, and his brain is the thing currently thinking my thoughts. My brain doesn't match my new soul, I mean, my soul doesn't match my new brain. The memories are mixing up. My soul and my brain are each trying to do exactly what happens when there's a mismatch due to animancy, they're trying to correct each other. But rather than making a few small changes or a series of big changes over a large period of time, my soul and brain are two completely different people. Yet there's still only one me. Time will tell if that me ends up Vita, Melik, or something in between. Though to my simultaneous horror and relief, I have a sinking suspicion that Vita is bigger than Melik. More. She is almost certainly going to win. Whatever I am, it's something closer to the Mistwatcher than it is to human. I can turn this body into anything I want. I can function without a body. But I can't function without a soul. After all, I am my soul. Always have been. Captain Elisaveta returns, handing me the promised water which I gratefully start to sip. She sits down on the Kinamancer's bed, Harvey's bed. His name is Harvey and he is my roommate and he's more than just his fucking talent, and gives me a serious look. Oh shit, here it comes I suppose. So, the surviving Inquisitors aren't decontamination specialized, which means we're falling back on mundane anti-animancy protocols, Jaleesa tells me. I've just got to ask you a few questions and whatnot. Don't worry, we're doing this with everyone. There's an element of untruth to that. Jaleesa isn't doing this to everyone, she explicitly isolated me because she thinks I'm Vita. Which I am. But of course, I can't call her out on that without admitting I'm Vita, because Melik wouldn't be able to tell she's lying. Do I want to admit I'm Vita? Can she even help? Would she want to? Okay, ask away, I tell her. What's the name of the trainee that was slated to be part of our squad but didn't graduate? She asks. Gina, I answer immediately, even though I never knew her. She was my friend, after all. What element of your talent is classified? Long-range metal detection, I answer. Though if these questions are to determine if I have knowledge Vita doesn't, it's worth noting that she's aware of that aspect of my talent. Wait, do I even still have my talent? I reach out for the familiar extra sense I've had for years, finding that while I can still feel souls from within my dead shell I have not retained my ability to feel or control metal. I suppose that's to be expected. But boy is it inconvenient. I liked my talent quite a bit, and I also need to be able to pretend I have it or I'll be found out in a heartbeat. I might still be able to tentacle cast by squirming around while in my hidey hole, and I know a lot of spellcasting theory so I should be able to whip up a manipulate target dust kineticism spell. And while I don't have anywhere near the range on it that I used to, I can sense delicious metal by just feeling out mana flows. The issue is that, unknown to everyone but myself and Theodora, my talent isn't actually kineticism. We don't actually know what it is. She said it looked like a completely uncategorized form of magic, and I unfortunately never memorized the spell formula she derived from it. Why would I? It's stronger when just used as a talent and I was trying to keep it a secret anyway. Hopefully whatever spell I invent to spoof it won't give me away. I have to peel my thoughts away from that topic, though, because remembering Theodora nearly causes me to vomit again. What the fuck did I do to Theodora? Oh watcher, oh fuck, she was so defiant. She knew I was evil, but I just kept pushing her until she broke. How do I help her? How do I fix her? Couldn't Penelope fix her? She could. She absolutely could, with what she did with Nugas. She just never did, because she'd lose her valuable research tool. Wasn't Penelope the one who convinced me to revive her in the first place rather than just keep her soul safe? This is Lady Vesuvius' fault. I'm a monster dating a worse monster. How was that not obvious before? But she wasn't always this bad, was she? I wasn't always this bad. Melik? Yelizaveta says, and I realize she's been trying to get my attention for a while. Huh? I sputter back. Sorry, I just got distracted. What was the question? How does Vita know you can sense metal? She asks. It just kind of came up while she was freeing my village from mind control slimes, I admit, shrugging. Which was an insane situation all around. My mother told me that she was someone else now, but she still loved me, and she was going to protect me from people that wanted to imprison me in my own body, even though that's what she was doing to my family. And then Vita just shows up. Tells me she can solve things. Freeze song just by looking at them. I thought she was a savior, even after the tragedy of Theodora's death. What bitter irony that Penta was there the whole time. That she turned into a monster I had to try and kill. That I am her, rolling my inner eye at these very thoughts. Right, the Lytia village incident, Jalisa nods. In that case, I'll ask questions from before then. When did you first move to Lytia village? The interrogation continues, my captain asking questions from my past that Vita couldn't know, assessing my memory and trying to figure out who I am. Well, joke's on her, I'm still not certain of the answer to that question myself. But I can easily supply the answers thanks to Melik and Vita's combined memories. The only tricky part is keeping them straight, and not giving Jalisa too much information. She's not trying to figure out if I'm Vita, after all. She knows I am, somehow, or at least she knows that something Vita-related happened to me. But I think showing that I'm also still Melik is the right play here. She cares about us. Her squad. She'd sacrifice a lot for us. And while I doubt she'd be the ally of Vita that murdered Melik and stole his body, she'd certainly be the ally of Melik, but possibly also Vita's host. She'd want to try to save me. To save him. I want to try to save him, too. I am him. So I should tell her. But what if she betrays me again? Or what if someone overhears? Do I have the time to care? Will either half of me like what we become? Fear of death. That's the problem here. On one hand, I might die, to some degree, if I stay this way. On the other hand, I'll certainly die if the Templars find out about me, as well. And then I'll be stuck in this situation all over again, but worse. I don't know what to do. So, I ask after Jalisa seems to be done with her questions. Did I pass? Am I the real Melik? Yes, my captain lies. No worries, it's just procedure. Of course, I say, swallowing back my desire to spill and tell her everything. I have no idea what she knows or what she suspects, but everything I just told her made her feel better. There's hope in her. I don't think she's going to voice her suspicions, so I don't think I should risk it. Of course, I'm unfortunately now left alone with my thoughts, and that means it's not long before I have to bring the vomit bowl up to my face again. Everything is such a confusing mess. I just slaughtered hundreds of people, terrified myself, nearly died trying to kill myself, actually died trying to fight Galdra the fucking Annihilator, and now I'm just sitting in my bed regretting it all. How did my life, either of my lives, reach this shitty new low? I'm a Templar now, for fuck's sake. My own eternal enemy. Except, I have good memories here too. There's a knock on my door, so I croak out a quick come in order to be greeted by Lark, here with a water refill and some dry biscuits, the really bland kind that my mum always fed me when I had an upset stomach. Wait a minute, what do I mean I swear to fuck, Melik memories, I'll find something worse to do to you than hollow out your soul and wear it if you don't stop having incorrect opinions on food. It's food. All of it is good. Hey Melik, she says, flashing me a closed-lipped smile. One of her ears flicks, shaking her puffy hair in a funny way I can't help but smile back at. The captain says that you're being quarantined in your room in case you actually have a stomach bug. We don't want anyone sick near the critical condition patients.
Makes sense, I mutter, accepting a biscuit.
But I don't think the quarantine will work very well if you and the captain keep coming in here. Well, the captain is in the bath washing up for exactly that reason, and I can't actually catch or carry disease.
As long as I don't touch you, I should be fine.
Really? Totally immune?
Man, Vrathitso are such bullshit.
Though I guess liches are too, so I probably shouldn't throw stones. A bit of a shame she's not going to touch me, though. I'm sorry, the fuck did I just think? Am I attracted to Lark? Oh, fuck no. That is a giant-ass dragon-sized fuck no on so many levels.
What the shit, me?
I literally knew her when she was a child. Commit these images to memory, you stupid fucking teenage boy brain, tiny baby murder Lark. That was barely 2 years ago. Ugh, so gross. At least both halves of me have the decency to be embarrassed about it. Well, I'm fine, I insist a bit more forcefully than I intended, because apparently this body also responds to attraction the same way Penelope does, by being a grumpy asshole. Wait a minute, is this body attracted to Penelope? I can't stop myself from thinking about my experiences in the public bathhouses and uncomfortably confirming that yes, this body is definitely attracted to women, and especially to Penelope. She must never know. Fine or not, you're still stuck here, so make sure you ask me if you need anything, okay?
Lark insists.
I will, I sigh.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Huh? She's a lot nicer when she's not trying to kill me, isn't she? None of that this is my purpose crap that she doesn't even believe. It's kinda funny. I spent so much effort convincing myself she's a monster when she's the person that wanted to fight me less than anyone.
I mean, Melek did that, when she didn't want to fight Vita, and...
Being a lich is so fucking weird. The point is, she's nice, and I made a great fucking decision when I decided to spare her life. Wait a minute. Everything I did during the whole life-sparing event was kind of fucked up, now that I think about it. Watcher's eyes, I physically tortured her before making her eat her dad's soul? Then I kinda taunted her about it? I mean,
that wasn't my intention, but I kinda did.
Shit, no wonder she's traumatized. Melek? Lark asks, snapping me out of my thoughts. You okay?
You look kinda freaked out.
Yeah, sorry, I sputter.
Just thinking about
everything that happened. Sorry. Yeah, Lark agrees, sitting down on Harvey's bed across from me. Yeah,
that was lot.
Huh? A lot of death. Well, sure, there was that, I agree. But I just mean that I was a huge asshole to you at a point where you really didn't deserve it. I'm sorry. The best part of this apology is the fact that all of me owes her one, Vita for her bullshit, of course, but also Melek for being a grumpy dick and trying to kill her that one time. Which I failed miserably at. So embarrassing. I have a bit of morbid curiosity about whether Melek was attracted to her before, after, or because of that. But ultimately no part of me wants to know the answer. I'm still very uninterested in being attracted to anyone, my dick be damned. I do have one of those. All glory to the ability to pee while standing, I guess, but that's not worth having an easy-to-hit weak point, in my book. Although boobs are also a weak point and no longer having them is nice. Either way, this body is much less comfortable than my brief stint as a revenant inside my own corpse, but that seemed to make me go a little berserk for whatever reason. Unfortunate. Maybe if I keep pretending to be a Templar, I'll have enough time without anyone out to kill me to try and figure out a better body. Downside, I'll have to help out the Templars, who I hate. It's a legitimately tough decision. Although I could just play along and do Templar work in order to get into a position from which to assassinate Galdra. That's not a bad plan. I don't agree that I didn't deserve it, Lark says quietly, snapping me back to the conversation. So it's fine. As far as I'm concerned, you have nothing to apologize for. Well yeah, I agree. I guess what you did to Claretta and Fulvia was pretty fucked up. She stiffens, her eyes going wide as she stares at me. Oh, shoot, right. I'm trying to not traumatize her. We can be friends anyway, though, I continue. If you want. Sure, she says quietly. Okay. But how did you know their names? Son of a. Did I fuck this up already?
No,
Wait, Melik actually knew about this. Phew.
Gina told me, I answer, happy to not have to lie. Oh, she says, relaxing slightly. Of course.
Gina. Yeah, I confirm.
She was kind of a bitch.
Lark seems caught off guard by that, breaking into an unexpected chuckle.
I suppose.
She was, wasn't she?
Yeah. You're right. Then she starts laughing again. I grin, not quite sure what's so funny, even with the slightly improved social competency I have compared to being just Vita. But Lark doesn't laugh much, so I found myself enjoying it too. The rest of my day is similarly surreal. I lie in a comfortable bed, occasionally having food and water delivered to me. Sometimes I need to get up to pee, which is in some ways extremely awkward but in some ways so normal I don't even think about it. I practice the spell I'm designing to spoof my old talent when I'm alone, breaking each element of it into tiny, minimally powered chunks for testing just like Theodora taught me. Spell design is actually pretty captivating, and before I know it the penumbra of the island above hits us and night starts soon afterwards. My body and soul are both exhausted, and I pass easily into sleep. I wake up not knowing who I am again, the chaos of multiple clashing memories pounding along the inside of my skull. But I vomit less than I did before, more easily settling into my new situation. I have to accept the reality of what I am, now. Vita needs a brain. Melik needs a soul. Framing things as a cooperation with myself helps avoid the dissonance that just leaves me a confused mess. Even if I know there's really just one me. Harvey returns on the second day of my quarantine, apparently in good enough health to handle being in the same room as me while I'm sick. He's as stoic as always, taking over the duties to keep me fed and hydrated from Lark, much to my disappointment. Still, whenever he does speak to me it's from the perspective of an old friend. It's nice. My soul aches, trapped as it is within Melik's shell, clogging my own passageway to my mana with its excess mass. I'm far weaker, hiding like this. No tentacle yoinks, far less mana access, and the shell blocks off vision from my eye, greatly reducing my sensory detail. But I can hatch at any time I choose, and then I'll be back to full strength in moments, well, full spiritual strength. Melik's body is far weaker than Vita's old one, and the optimization process for it has yet to begin. Perhaps my soul is waiting to be fed, still recovering from whatever damage death and repossession did to me. Of course, I'm in no hurry to let my soul start altering my body again. After all, growing a physical tentacle or new eyeball will be a little dead giveaway. At least I don't think I lost any memories, on either end. I only gained new ones. My third day of quarantine passes much the same as the last. My fourth day has me not vomit at all, even on awakening. Rest and introspection has done me some good, I suppose. Either that or my brain and soul have simply finished attacking each other in an attempt to normalize and are just going through the standard updates. Who knows? Either way I am a shell of my former self trying to spoof my old life in order to survive, and while that's abjectly terrifying, it's also kind of nice. Vita had a horrible life. It started horrible and firmly stayed horrible until it started getting worse. The opportunity to be someone else instead is somewhat refreshing, in a way. Melik has friends. Teammates he can count on. Skills that aren't animancy, allowing me to avoid its use and still contribute. The Templars might not be the good guys, not really. But everyone thinks they're the good guys, and to someone that's been oppressed and hated her whole life that means a lot more than it maybe should. Sure, Melik has problems. Melik has trauma. But Melik doesn't have a whole fucking country trying to kill him, so maybe I'll be Melik for a while. I'm sure it will go wrong sooner or later, but I don't want to give up my life so easily. And besides, it'll be nice while it lasts. Staring down at the calm water of the bath, I find Melik's face staring back up at me, wearing my blank expression. It's both familiar and surreal, as while I've seen this face many times before in two different sets of memories, I don't really see it as mine anymore. It also reminds me a lot of that time years ago when Pentu as Penelope brought me to that fancy bathhouse and I saw my old body's face for the first time I could remember. How odd it looked. How not quite me. Familiar and surreal. That's quite a stare you've got going, Xavier says, stepping next to me and staring down at the water as well. Feeling a little melancholy. I give her an unamused glower,
since it feels natural in the way that means it's probably what Melik would do in this situation. It's been another couple days since I decided to continue pretending to be him, and I've since stopped vomiting, been given a clear bill of health, and mostly normalized my identity. Mostly. As I both expected and feared, Vita won out. I have Melik's memories, his experiences, his habits, some degree of his likes and dislikes, and I'm sure I've been influenced in countless other subtle ways, but I still feel like Vita. I'm a soul trapped in a meat shell, not a human man with a monster hiding inside him. I'm Melik largely insofar as I'm comfortable pretending to be him and answering to the name. It's sad. We both hoped he'd live through this. I'd wondered if I could give him his body back. But I think, at this point, even if I succeeded at leaving this body without killing it, the end result would be leaving something that wasn't quite Melik behind. Maybe even a copy of myself, except I'd be trapped as a human forever, devoid of the freedom that is my soul. I'd never wish that on anyone. That pun was shameless, I complained to Xavier. But I guess I'll give you a 3 out of 5, since I've actually never heard it before. 3 out of 5 from Melik? Xavier exclaims, bobbing her head consideringly. That's not too bad. I'll take it. But anyway, you done looking? I don't want to disturb the water if you're having a deep conversation with your reflection, but I also want to get in the bath. What, don't want to join me in despondently staring at your reflection? I tease her. Xavier answers awkwardly, scratching her head. My reflection and I aren't really on the best of terms. Oh. Being in a male body obviously bothers her. It doesn't really bother me. My previous experiences as a human female make it a bit strange to bathe with a bunch of men, but thanks to this body I am not attracted to men anymore. It's an interesting detail. It proves that my physical form is a driving element of my attraction, but I'm not entirely sure that means my soul isn't. Like, Melik is very into women, physically speaking. I don't want to be into women, though, since I still find attraction to be annoying and uncomfortable, and I think I've been experiencing a much lighter version of Melik's usual reactions as a result. Either way, as much as her soul is female, Xavier is physically still a masculine piece of meat, and my new body feels no discomfort at joining her in the bath. It's kind of strange to think that, before I took this body, I don't think I would have recognized Xavier as masculine even if she waved her dick in my face. My perceptions are all screwed up now. In a lot of ways, they make things more clear. In most ways, they just make things more complicated. But hey, I can't help with Xavier's problems anyway, and the most Melik way to respond to them matches with the most Vita way to respond to them as well. Pretend they don't exist until it becomes immediately relevant. So, do you think Lady Tentacles is still alive? Xavier asks me. Probably, I admit, since that's what everyone assumes anyway. I fucked up when I let that scythe fly away. Are you kidding? Xavier asks incredulously. You saved the day by grabbing it in the first place. Sure, the lich got away, but if you hadn't helped Galdra kill her we might all be dead. Well, that isn't how it went down at all, though I suppose I have to make sure my answer is whatever one Melik would give. I doubt Galdra really needed my help, I answer non-committally. I don't think I won the tug-of-war at a pivotal moment, it felt more like Vita just let go. Why would she do that? Xavier asks. Maybe to possess it, I answer, shrugging. Maybe just so her friend didn't die with her. Yeah, I can believe that, she agrees, nodding. She was weirdly, I dunno, honorable. You know, for an evil monster. I carefully try not to wince at that. I don't succeed, but thankfully Harvey steps into the room and distracts Xavier from my reaction. General Vesuvius always said that the enemy's honor is something to be exploited, not praised, Harvey grunts, sinking into the bath beside me. That causes my lips to quirk upwards a bit. Yeah, that definitely sounds like something Penelope would say. But what's with my face moving on its own all the time? It's kind of dangerously inconvenient. Wait, which General Vesuvius? Xavier asks, to my surprise. Harvey grunts with amusement. Senior, he clarifies. The current Lady Vesuvius' grandfather. Well, current insofar as she won't be officially removed from her position until she's confirmed to be dead or alive, but I can't imagine her life as a noble will continue even if she's found to be a victim of animancy. Perhaps especially not then. Did you serve under him? Xavier wonders, quirking an eyebrow. Not during wartime, Harvey answers, shaking his head. I'm not that old. But he'd often roam around military installations after the war, giving speeches and keeping morale up. He was a very charismatic man, if also a very ruthless one. Still, he makes a good point. I'm not so sure that he does, Xavier answers. Like being honorable about things often gives your opponents an advantage on the battlefield, but it gives you lots of advantages off the battlefield. If both sides are trustworthy and honorable, neither holds a war advantage but both hold the peacetime benefits. And peacetime is better? That's an overly simplistic way of looking at things, Harvey argues. After all, the advantages of being honorable aren't tied to how honorable you actually are, only to how honorable your opponent thinks you are. That's where Vita went wrong, I realize, carefully referring to myself in the third person. No matter how reasonable her promises, the Templars weren't going to agree to them because they didn't trust her. And so hundreds of us needlessly died, even though she totally kept her promises and immediately stopped attacking when everyone else got to retreat, Xavier grumbles. Watch his eyes, we fucked that whole thing up so hard. Tactically, I would agree that we called the retreat far later than we should have, Harvey muses, but the biggest blunder was allowing the enemy to sabotage the Inquisition while we were away. We fell for, and died to, an enemy diversion. But frankly, that's all on our commanders, not us. We followed our orders. Sometimes that's not enough. I suppose that's the nice part about not making our own decisions, I respond dryly. There's less pressure to take responsibility for them as well. Harvey chuckles at that, to my surprise. I suppose if you'd rather beat yourself up about what happened, you can do that instead, he allows. But I say we did our jobs as well as we could have, given the circumstances. The Lich took down Arden the Iron Soul, for fuck's sake. What were we supposed to do? You know what, that's fucking fair, Xavier sighs. We only lived because she was sandbagging us, right? You saw people fall like watch a damn dominoes whenever they even got kinda close to her, didn't you? Fucking horrifying. Fucking delicious, is what they were. But okay, I was also pretty horrifying. Still, though. What's horrifying is the runes that were designed to blow up our fucking armor if Vita turned us undead, I comment. I can't fucking believe they put that in our armor without telling us about it. It might not have worked if they told us about it, Harvey points out. If we knew, then the moment we were on her side we would have tried to remove it. I imagine Arden could have done that quickly enough to save their own life, and then, well, we'd be screwed. I guess that makes sense, I admit. But it's still kind of a what the fuck, you know? Yeah, I hear you, Harvey agrees, sighing. I definitely hear you. War is awful. And water is wet, Xavier mutters, lifting a ball of it out of the bath with her talent and quickly shaping it into a bunch of different symbols, animals, and other configurations. Hey Melik, do you think I could maybe cast like you do? By shaping stuff with my talent instead of my fingers? Water doesn't concentrate mana the way metal does, so no, I answer. What if I put metal dust in the water? Xavier asks. Then it would just sink, I assume, I answer. Damn. What if? What if I got the water moving in a fast current so the metal couldn't settle? Then it would probably get flung out of the water wherever you had to make a curve in the formation, and even if it didn't I'm not sure if it would be worth the effort to learn it, I answer, smirking with amusement. But if you want, we can try it when I get more metal authorized for me to use. Fuck yeah. Xavier cheers. Let's do it. Wait, you lost your metal? Cut me some slack, I had a concussion, I grumbled defensively. Also, I didn't have Melik's talent to grab it all back off the ground. Fair and valid, Xavier agrees, thankfully not pressing the issue. Honestly, fuck the last 10-day in general. You guys wanna go out and get drunk tonight? As long as I don't end up chaperoning a bunch of kids who say drunk but mean wasted, I think I'd enjoy that a lot, Harvey nods. Could definitely use it after everything that's happened. I don't think I want to get drunk, I hedge. I've never been fond of drugs or alcohol, since most drinkers in my part of town often quickly upgraded to heavy drinkers, the kind that are dangerous to be around. But now, of course, getting drunk might also mean I say something stupid and end up dead. Hey, that's fine, Xavier shrugs. I don't think Lark can get drunk and I'm still going to invite her. We can invite the captain too, make it a whole squad thing, well, minus Bentley, I guess.
I can't believe it'll take them 2 months to regrow his legs, I comment.
Didn't the captain get her arm back in like 4 days?
The captain had motherfucking Vesuvius the Inhuman to heal her, so that's hardly a fair comparison, Xavier dismisses.
Our healers are mere mortals.
I can't help it, I snorted that. I suppose she's not immortal yet, but she's getting there. My amusement is quickly banished, though, since I don't know where Penelope is. I can't sense her anywhere in the city, and I can only assume that, if she's gone, it means that something went wrong. Bad time for her to go missing, isn't it? I sigh. Bad time for her to turn traitor, too, Harvey grunts. Willingly or otherwise.
I mean, would there be a good time for the army-slaying plague mage to turn traitor? Xavier points out.
No. I suppose not, Harvey admits. It feels like this country is completely going to shit and there's nothing we can do to stop it.
How do we face the island's most dangerous animancers without an inquisition?
Yeah, if only one of those dangerous animancers had offered to help us, or something, I drawl, unable to contain a hint of annoyance.
Then we wouldn't be in this mess.
Perhaps, Harvey answers noncommittally, and we don't speak anymore for the rest of the bath. I'm more than okay with the silence, of course, and I eventually exit the bath feeling refreshingly clean and comfortable. Xavier rushes off to invite the rest of our squad to drinks as Harvey and I return to our room to get dressed in something appropriate for a party, whatever the fuck that. No, wait, Melik's memories know exactly what that means, and I don't like it.
Simple, somewhat showy clothing designed for comfort over function?
The shrinking part of me that's still him yearns to get out of the Under Armour padding I've been wearing in case I need to quickly get into uniform, but I hate the idea of being less than ready. Still, after rifling through Melik's things I find a somewhat fancy traveler's gambesine, the kind merchants wear on the road to compromise between protection and appearance. It'll have to do. Bringing my shield along isn't something I'm supposed to do out of uniform, but I do strap my sword to my waist because fuck going anywhere without a weapon.
Expecting trouble?
Harvey asks, raising an eyebrow at me.
Call me paranoid,
I answer flatly. I'm just not comfortable going out unprepared after everything that happened. He nods, patting me on the shoulder. To my surprise, I don't feel uncomfortable at the unexpected touch. I guess Melik's trust in this man spilled over to me. I understand completely, he says, flashing me a smile. You look like a rich merchant's son that just strolled into town, though, so you're gonna disappoint the fuck out of the tavern owner when you don't buy any drinks. I shrug, about to make a comment about how I'm broke anyway, but I guess I'm actually not broke. Melik gets a Templar's salary, after all. Maybe I'll buy enough food to make up for it, I answer, giving Harvey a slight smile back. I feel like I could eat enough food for a whole army. Or, for that matter, the army itself. Wait. I find cannibalism gross again. That's probably a good sign more than anything. Though this does lead to a rather important question, what do I do with any human souls I find? I can't store them inside my body without giving myself away. So arguably I should just eat them. It's either me or the Mistwatcher, after all, and fuck the Mistwatcher. Except that's evil. I remember back when I knew keeping a soul inside me might end with the Templars after my head, but I did it anyway because protecting people from death was the right thing to do. And I still believe that, it is the right thing to do. But now I've experienced the actual consequences of the Templars being after my head. Now I'm being actively looked for. Now I know what will happen if I get caught again. I don't think I'm a good enough person to risk going through that again. Are you, Melik? There's no response, of course, but I feel like he isn't. His instincts and his slowly changing brain concede the point as they soak in my experiences on the matter. Pointlessly sacrificing myself for some random soul would just kill everyone involved without helping anything. But eating the soul? Eating people? It doesn't seem as appealing as it used to, even if I can't think of a logical reason to avoid it if given the opportunity. Am I regressing? That's quite annoying, if so. Or perhaps if I look at it another way, you could argue I reversed my regression. The Mistwatcher pretty much just exists in a cycle of constant consumption, not seeming to put effort into anything beyond ensuring the current status quo provides steady meals. What if I need a human brain to think like a human, but the longer I use a human brain, the less human that brain inevitably becomes. That's frustratingly plausible. I did have mana threads inside my own brain, after all. Something to keep in mind when I design myself a superior alternative to human bodies, I suppose. Melik has some instinctive resistance to that thought, but it's weirdly complicated. Whatever. Melik's brain has its annoyances. Please stop being attracted to Penelope. It's just going to make cuddles needlessly awkward, but it's altogether not so bad. He's a smart kid, and this somehow seems to translate into making it easier to think. Like just, in general, thinking about any given topic takes less effort. I form conclusions faster. I'm more confident about my conclusions in a broad range of concepts. It's weird and nice, and holy shit, my last body was ravaged by malnourishment. Real 0 out of 10 pick, past me. What was I thinking about? Oh, right. I need a solution to the saving human souls problem. I figure I have a few options here. Option 1, work inside the Templars long enough to eliminate the threats that oppose me, then proceed to use any soul rescuing method I want. Simple, effective, risky, aggressive. I'm worried about the fact that I simply won't make any progress unless I'm fed opportunities to kill the remaining Inquisitors and High Templars, which is both unlikely and prone to backfire in a number of ways. Option 2, fuck off and leave the Templars entirely, returning to the forest. It's definitely a workable option, but I don't like it since it just resets things to the previous status quo, except now my body is weaker. What I really want is some kind of option 3, a middle ground in which I can maintain communication with my village without needing to out Melik as my new host. But for something like that, I'd either need to be able to make the trip to and from my village without raising suspicion, a task that would basically require teleportation, and that's unfortunately well outside Melik's skill set, or I would need a liaison I could send to and from the village without raising suspicion. But that would require someone who lives in Skyhope and can safely travel the forest, and who's also perfectly okay with the existence of undead. And oh wait, my mom, I can just ask my mom. No, actually, I probably can't. As much as I want to speak with Lynn, she's probably under more scrutiny than ever before since she worked for Penelope. I need someone a bit less suspicious. Someone who Melik would actually have a reason to talk to without any red flags. Someone he either knows or is connected to by a degree of separation or two at most. Melik doesn't really have friends outside his squad, which is quite sad, but maybe someone else does. Certainly not Lark. I doubt any of Harvey's war buddies would want to help me. I think Xavier is similarly lonely, despite her gregarious personality. Is there anyone that Bentley knows that might be able to help? Wait a second. Holy shit, I totally forgot about Orville. I think I might be a bad friend, I muttered to myself. Yeah, a little bit, Xavier agrees, walking up from behind and bumping me with her hip as she passes. But it's cool, we like you anyway. Come on, let's go get drunk already. I realize, belatedly, that I've been wandering around the barracks as I think to myself. Another Melik habit, maybe? Who cares? Doesn't really matter. I nod to Xavier and start following her as she wanders around and picks up every member of our squad that I haven't previously bisected. Yeah, okay, cutting Bentley in half is also more evidence towards maybe being a bad friend. We move as a group towards a tavern that Harvey apparently recommends. Are you sure I'm allowed to be out here, Captain Jaleesa? Lark whines nervously, hugging herself with one pair of arms while the other wrings their hands together. Nope, Jaleesa answers flatly. But I'm pretty sure Command can't fire me anymore, so I don't really give a shit. Lark glances around, her ears pressed flat against her head as she desperately tries to avoid eye contact with every single person staring at her as we walk down the street. She is, after all, in civilian clothes, ones she apparently knitted, or sewed. I don't honestly know the difference, with her own claws, meaning they're entirely beautiful white silk. Which, if anything, draws even more attention to her pitch black skin, hair, eyes, teeth, and so on. She's very obviously inhuman, and worse, very obviously a Vrithizo to anyone who's even remotely familiar with them. But of course, walking awkwardly in a group of casually joking humans means that the stares directed her way average more towards confusion than terror. Lark herself is actually the most horrified person on the street, which is rather hilarious. That doesn't really seem like a good reason, Captain. Lark insists. It's good enough for me, Jaleesa counters, shrugging nonchalantly. You're not a shameful mistake to be hidden away from the public eye, Lark. You're a person, you're a fucking Templar, and I'm not going to put up with the higher-ups treating you like anything less. Fuck yeah. Xavier cheers. The captain's right, Lark. Skyhope deserves to know how badass you are. I can't see Lark blush, but I can feel it happening. She sure won a lot of support, huh? I can't say I'm not a little jealous. Still, I find myself nodding along. This is the way it should be, I agree. Imprisoning you in the barracks until and unless you're useful. Fuck that. No one should be punished for doing good deeds. Jaleesa gives me a look for a moment, but nods. She probably caught my double meaning, but whatever. She already knows I'm here. Somehow. Well said, Jaleesa agrees. So don't worry about it, Lark. Make some non-squad friends if you can. If anyone gives you shit, your squad is here to support you. That's what we do. And if command gives you shit, rest assured that your captain just publicly asserted that she knowingly disobeyed, and is entirely to blame, Harvey adds, flashing a rare grin of his own. Such moments are always the best time to violate orders. Just don't get drunk and cause a disturbance or I'll kick your asses myself, Jaleesa grunts. Is there anyone in your squad you could actually beat in a fight? I ask her, smirking. If you're drunk enough, sure, she answers, and we all laugh. The tavern is a modestly sized wooden building, consisting of a bar counter and a smattering of round tables on which maybe a dozen people are already drinking, laughing, eating, and chatting. It seems like a fairly mellow place, not too loud or too dirty, the former of which I find especially appealing and the latter of which Melik seems to consider extremely important for some reason. Most people are engrossed in their own meals or conversations and don't bother to even look at us when we come in, but the worker behind the counter and a handful of people at the bar all give us a double take as we sit down at the counter with Vrithitso in our party. Jaleesa waits until I sit down and purposefully claims the seat next to me, leaving me on the edge. I suppose she probably wants to talk, but I think we'll have to jump over the big black hurdle that is Lark first. Welcome to Hearth Ember Tavern? The dumbfounded bartender manages. What can I, get you folks? Lark speaks up first since she's being directly stared at, but I don't think he expected her to respond. A mug of water? She answers hesitantly. Please. If that's all right. He blinks a few times, before saying of course and grabbing orders from the rest of us. I order a meal for myself, everybody else gets drinks, and I settle in to enjoy not being the person everyone is staring at, for once. It's pretty comfy. At least until a subtle little silence bubble crops up around Jaleesa and I. Of course. A bit conspicuous, don't you think? I mutter with barely repressed annoyance. We're dressed richly enough that most people will assume we're just making illegal business deals, Jaleesa answers quietly. As for the rest of the squad, I can just order them to ignore us. That sounds like a strategy with a very high success rate, I answer sarcastically. There's no way that would make anyone in our squad even more curious. Well, it's fortunate that Xavier is sitting on the far side of the counter, then, Jaleesa smirks. I'm not really worried about her anyway. Jaleesa raises her eyebrows, recognizing that word choice as the push to end the small talk that it was. Who am I talking to? She asks quietly. Vita or Melik? Sort of both, I admit, putting my elbow on the counter to rest my chin on my hand, covering my lips from curious watches. Mostly Vita. But I have his memories, and a lot of his habits are influencing me. Is he dead, then? She asks. I sigh, taking the effort to look her in the eyes. I think for most intents and purposes. Probably. It was a rough merger at first, I felt like I was both of us. To some extent I still do. But now I've subsumed him, more or less. I'm sorry. I see, she says softly. The bartender passes her the drink she ordered, and she gulps down quite a bit of it. Why Melik? It wasn't exactly a conscious decision, I answer, shrugging. I just flung myself after Nora in a desperate attempt to save my own life. I missed. My turn, then. How did you figure me out? You ate an insect soul in your sleep, Jaleesa answers. Shit. Okay, I need to figure out how to break that habit. Good to know, I grumble.
Have you told anyone?
Not yet, Jaleesa answers, shrugging. Haven't decided if I should. What do you plan to do if I inform my bosses?
I guess I'll head back to my village and we'll start this all over again, I answer honestly.
And what happens if I don't tell anyone? She asks. Then I think Melik will stay on your squad for a while, I tell her, smiling slightly. He liked it here.
I think I do too. Oh? She prompts, taking another big swig of alcohol. Yeah, I mean, I never wanted to be the big scary lich in the forest, I tell her. I want to save people. I want to help people. If I can do that here for a while, then I will. And how long do you think you can hide in plain sight like this?
Jaleesa asks curiously.
Well, I managed it for a decade or so in my last body, I smirk. So surely I can manage at least a few months without a major.
Ah. I blink with surprise. Is that? No. This cannot be fucking real.
Why is there a High Templar headed right towards us?
I hiss.
Jaleesa at least seems just as surprised as I am, but the incoming high-speed superweapon in the shape of a person doesn't leave any time to answer before she crashes down in front of the tavern and bodily shoves open the door. My instincts scream at me to rush her, to kill her before she can kill me first, but I manage to keep myself glued to my chair. She doesn't feel like she's after me. She doesn't feel like she knows who I am. So what the fuck is she doing here?
Woo!
Cassia the Maelstrom cheers, grinning as she rips off her High Templar helmet and shakes out her long, blonde hair.
Let's get fucking wasted.